Hey, what's up guys, Robert Rule of 2 Review here, and I finally get to make a follow-up video to my Beyond Good and Evil 2 information that I discussed for what, 7, 8, maybe even like 9 months ago. It's one of the most popular videos I made, which I super appreciated because it's about Beyond Good and Evil 2. And Beyond Good and Evil, the first one, is one of probably my top 10 favorite games of all time. I have a serious deep-seated love for that game. It has a very strong cult following, as I helped kind of further learn through that video and its popularity. And we've all just been, waiting in the wings, holding on to any hope that we might get a tiny tidbit or morsel of information about this game for many years, for several E3s running now, ever since the 2008 teaser that featured Paige and Jade. And, it's pretty much gone silent since then, with only the rare rumbling of any information. And so, like I said, with the popularity of my video that I made, and at the time that I made it, my channel was much smaller than it is now. I mean, it's already a fairly small channel, and 9 months ago, I probably had 400 or 500 subscribers. I don't really know. I definitely was well below 1,000 at that time. And people still went nuts for that video, and everyone was just watching it and getting into it. And it's like, Beyond Good and Evil 2, let's talk about it more. Let's get excited. And I was like, yes, this is what we need. And so, the reason I'm even bringing this up today is with E3 having just wrapped up yesterday for 2015, there was another tiny bit of information that came out about that game. And as I had been promising a bunch of my fans and the followers of Rule of 2 Review these last couple months, if there was any information about Beyond Good and Evil 2, I would make a video discussing it as soon as I possibly could, because I just want this game to exist. This game should exist, and I still do believe that this game is being made. It doesn't necessarily mean that the game will release, but I feel like it's something that isn't completely abandoned within Ubisoft. But obviously there's been a lot of weird factors going on surrounding that game. Now, this information that came out this last week for E3 2015, was initially reported by IGN, where they were discussing with Ubisoft the future of Michel Ancel, who has been the director and creator of both Rayman and Beyond Good and Evil. He's one of the most important fellows within Ubisoft. He's one of the best game directors, in my opinion, of all time. And as far as I know, he's worked for Ubisoft for all of his career, at least the bulk of his relevant gaming career. I've always ever known him as somebody involved with Ubisoft. And even if you go back to what I think his first game that he directed was, the original Rayman, that was 96, maybe even 95. So basically 20 years ago, he was with Ubisoft. I think he's always been there. And he's just an amazing man. He's a visionary. He has a very smart idea of what kind of new concepts he wants to bring into games, and he's always thinking outside the box. And it's something that, as we see Ubisoft, develop and evolve more and more, they're evolving into a company that's less about those kinds of ideas and more about the carbon copy, the Far Cries, the Ghost Recons, the Rainbow Sixes, the this, that, and the other. And I still like a lot of their games, don't get me wrong, but they're not really doing a lot of cool things, I don't think, anymore. At least by comparison to when they were coming out with games like Beyond Good and Evil, even Child of Light very recently, which for some reason wasn't discussed this year, a sequel, and of course Rayman and a couple of other smaller projects. And Michel Ancel has really been kind of the brainchild that's been behind all of these things. Beyond Good and Evil, goddamn, 2003 for the GameCube, PlayStation 2, and original Xbox. Holy cow, what an amazing masterpiece of a game. Very revolutionary for that time. And this last week, going back to the IGN thing, they were discussing with them what's going on with Michel Ancel. And from what I could gather, he's been involved with another company that he sort of started on his own, aside from Ubisoft. I'm trying to see if I could find the name of that studio, and I'm a fool, and I didn't have it in front of me like I thought I did. Anyway, yeah, no, I thought that I saw it, but I don't. So he started this other company, and because of that, IGN was talking to Ubisoft over E3 about whether or not he's even still involved with Ubisoft. And we knew that if there was going to be a Beyond Good and Evil 2, it would be Michel Ancel working for Ubisoft, acting as the director and the basic overseer, creator of Beyond Good and Evil 2. So they were really trying to get to the bottom of that title. And, okay, so Michel Ancel has this new studio. Is he no longer working for Ubisoft? And it kind of, whatever information that IGN gleaned at that time, like in the middle of E3, they had ended up reporting that it seems as though, and they never even said it was fact, but they basically said that it seemed as though Michel Ancel is no longer with Ubisoft, hence Beyond Good and Evil 2 doesn't have a director, so that game is even more in jeopardy now than it was before. That was the essence of the article that they wrote and the headline that they wrote. And to be fair, if they if that information sort of sounded like that, I'm actually not mad at them for reporting that, even though it's basically, Ubisoft has counterpointed that, saying that that's not true. But I don't think that in this instance, actually, that IGN was trying to clickbait or anything like people accuse them of all the time. I think that they genuinely thought that was the case, and that they knew that the number one piece of information gamers would want to know if Michel Ancel had left the company is what's happening to Beyond Good and Evil 2. So I actually think they did a good thing in trying to give us an update on that game. And, the next great news, well, if you want to call it great, the next good news that came from that was yesterday when Ubisoft responded to that about what IGN said. Their initial article reporting Beyond Good and Evil 2 not having a director has been pulled down, which is good news. Ubisoft released a statement counteracting that, and this is what they said. This is, quote, "What was reported by IGN is untrue. Michel is still leading creative development of several exciting projects being developed by Ubisoft Montpellier," I assume is how you say that, if I'm going super French. They go on to say, "We may have more to share on that at another time, but right now we are focused on the incredible lineup we have at E3 this year, which includes Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Rainbow Six Siege, For Honor, Ghost Recon Wildlands, and many more." I find that funny because I think that other than South Park, they didn't show a single other game on their press conference. Those 5 games they just listed, 1, 2, 3, 4 games that they listed, those are the only games I think that were on their stage show, plus South Park. Oh, and Just Dance. So anyway, that's their quote. That's their counterpoint. And I like that because they confirm that Michel is still involved. He hasn't left Ubisoft. And obviously because the reports, was circulating around Beyond Good and Evil 2, I think they wanted to just nip that in the bud immediately so that it wasn't getting out that Beyond Good and Evil 2 isn't being made. And I'm taking this as a good sign. You can call me foolishly optimistic, but I'm going to stick with it. I think that means that no matter what state that game is in and no matter how long it may take for it to come out, it must still be in some form of development. It must be being kicked around. Now, what I encourage you to do is go to the Wikipedia page for Beyond Good and Evil 2 because there's an amazing report. What is the word I'm looking for? Excuse me. There's an amazing collection of the series of events over the last 7, 8, 9 years or so about Beyond Good and Evil 2 and the rumors leading into the 2008 trailer reveal, leading into why it went dormant after that, and then when a rumbling would come up every couple of years and a piece of news, and then it went away, and you'll find out about there was a period where Michel Ancel said the game he confirmed it was still being made. This is like 2010 or 11, and he said it's still being made, but it doesn't match our vision that we can achieve with the PS3 and 360, so we need to wait for better hardware, essentially, saying we need the next generation. Now, the next generation has been out for a couple of years, and so we're wondering where it is again, and I think that they're probably still working on it. What I think is that it's not priority for them, and that's all it really comes down to, because the first one is a game that is very well loved, but notoriously didn't sell very well for some really random reason, and it super sucks a lot. So I think that they know that there's a clamoring for that game and an audience for that game, but they just don't know when the right time to really release it is, to show a lot of information, to finally start dedicating a lot of resources and money into developing it. I don't know why this game, if anything, with the stupid success of Shenmue 3 and the Kickstarter thing this year, I would be surprised if this game doesn't show up with a Kickstarter sometime soon. And as much as I would kind of hate that, because Kickstarter is just a weird thing to me that I don't love. At the end of the day, this is an instance where I would admit that Kickstarter might be the thing that helps make this game, for all we know. So maybe Shenmue 3 starts opening the floodgates for things like this, and hopefully Beyond Good and Evil 2 becomes one of them. But what I would really love is to learn they have been working on it. They're finally ready to show it sometime soon. Michel Ancel hasn't left. That's what this, release, this press statement from Ubisoft tells us, which means the director for Beyond Good and Evil 2 still is with the company. So we can hope that means he's still working on the game. Ubisoft did not want it getting out that Beyond Good and Evil 2 didn't have a director and probably wasn't being made. That's what it seems like to me. I'm taking that as really good news and really good information. And that's that. What do you guys think? How do you take that? Do you think that there's something to this? Do you think that this was just damage control because they didn't want any other bad information getting out? Are you still excited for Beyond Good and Evil 2? I hope you are. I'm super angry at Ubisoft for not talking about it this year, assuming it even exists. I think the last time there was any sort of quote from Michel Ancel or anyone at Ubisoft about the game, it was maybe 2-3-ish years ago, and at that it might have even been last year, actually, and the last time I think we'd heard about it, they basically confirmed it's still in the works. I wonder if I even have that information in front of me. I know I saw something about E3 2014, and I can't find it again. Sorry, I have this article with some information in front of me, and it's proving to be not effective because the two things I needed to look for, I don't even see in this article, and I thought they were here. So, my fault. Article fail. That's totally my bad. Anyway, I do know that in the last year or two, there was a statement where they basically, all they said is, yep, still being worked on, and then moved on to the next thing, and no more was discussed about the game at that time. So pretty interesting. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Are you still excited? Do you think there's something to this? Do you think that I am being foolish and holding out hope that this game will come soon? And that's it, Please feel free to subscribe to the channel, like, share, rate, comment, all those good fun things. And thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time on another video.